Story 1. I have a few enemies, but my main one is my elementary school special education teacher. She told me I wouldn't amount to anything. Well, to her, I have something to say. Ms. Hardy, I hope you're having a challenging retirement. And by the way, I'm in college now. How do you like that? Story 2. Joel bullied me in school for no apparent reason. I haven't seen him in about 11 years, but I still remember his cocky stare as if he were better than me. I always tried to be nice and never gave him a reason to think negatively of me or to speak badly about me to others, even though he always did that. What I mainly remember is him standing in front of me in the school line, turning around to give me a disapproving look as if I shouldn't exist. When the teacher looked away, he elbowed me in the rib, somewhat hard, but due to his being closeted even at the age of 9, he missed completely, trying to add a flamboyant flair to his actions. He hit my rib in a way that would make a toddler laugh before falling to the ground crying because I smacked his elbow with my rib cage. Teachers were aware of the bullying for years but did nothing, merely telling him to get up with a sense of, "You get what you deserve." I was completely fine, though it didn't make me hate him any less. Karma played a role when our primary schools wrote descriptions about us to send with grades to secondary schools. My description portrayed me as resilient, while whenever negative interactions among students were mentioned, the teachers always looked at Joel as if to warn him indirectly. In the end, we both wanted to attend the same school. He boasted that he would definitely be accepted, claiming, "Why wouldn't they want me?" But a month later, he approached me, aiming to make me feel bad, and clearly expressed his happiness that I did not get into my first choice school. Right in the middle of lunch while trying to get others' attention, I told him that I did get in. He didn't believe me and asked the teacher for confirmation. The teacher approved, and he started crying because none of the 5 schools he applied to accepted him. He ended up being forced to attend a government boarding school, and I did not hear from him for a few years until I met someone more connected to his family. It turned out that the students there were not as forgiving or accepting of how he treated people. They effectively bullied him, both physically and mentally, destroying his belongings and sabotaging him in any way they could. I heard they did some terrible things to him that were not much worse than what he did to me, but I would have truly suffered if my entire school and home life were dominated by a group of people like him. Anyway, I still don't like you, Joel, and I feel bad for your grandmother, who never gave up on you, yet you continually disappointed her with how you treated others. By the way, you looked better before your facial alterations. Now, you resemble a girl's toy doll who had too much fun using a lighter on your plastic face. Story 3. The person at my gym seems to make it their life's purpose to occupy the equipment I want to use. They will be first against the wall when the revolution comes. Story 4. I'm going to refer to her as E. It depends on the definition of enemy, as we are no longer at war. However, she is the only person I would wish things upon that are typically considered undesirable. She is a drama-seeking narcissist who cannot physically, mentally, or emotionally stand not being the center of attention. She has driven a good friend of mine, who dated her, to suicidal thoughts. I have lost friends over her, many of whom have returned with apologies after 6 to 12 months, having seen for themselves the troubling nature of this individual. I have tried repeatedly to help her, to be friends with her, and to give her the benefit of the doubt. The simple fact is, it's not that she doesn't want friendship, she does. She wants people to like her and trust her so she can manipulate that trust. And when you finally realize that she is toxic, she'll move on to the next person, often with tears and complaints about how horrible others are to her, and play her games all over again. I do not wish diseases or death upon her, as both would provide her with sympathy, which is what she craves. If I could wish for one thing for her, it would be for each day to be just a little worse than the one before. I want today to be the best day of her life, and for it to only become progressively worse from here on out. I want her to experience deep, dark misery the way she drives others to it. Forget E. Story 5. As a Canadian, I must say that he is quickly rising on the enemies list. I don't believe further explanation is necessary. Story 6. Pro-lifers. I work security at a clinic. It was my first real full-time job. The pro-life protesters are some of the most vile individuals. You may see them in the news or media, and they may seem like loving people who follow God. But I can assure you, off camera, they can be quite aggressive. I've never seen an 80-year-old woman with such a foul mouth and such violence. They will stand there and call you every name they can think of and invade your personal space. The moment you extend your arm to help a patient get to their car, they will immediately drop to the ground and have a camera ready to take photos while calling the police. Fortunately, in my case, the police always supported us. They eventually were removed for good. Honestly, I have a strong disdain for those individuals. Story 7. Dictator Orange and all his followers are trying to annex my mother's home country, even though the inhabitants and politicians keep telling him to leave. Story 8. Father Time is working against you from the beginning. He takes things away before you are ready and gives you just enough to get started. Story 9. My mom hates my husband because he has the audacity to not be white. She came to my hospital room after I gave birth solely to tell me that my baby, who was in the neonatal intensive care unit, was going to die and that it would be my punishment from God for marrying someone of a different race. Story 10. I can handle differing opinions, but it's frustrating when people express strong views without providing clear information. Story 11. She doesn't know it, but Amy Schumer steals jokes and makes too many jokes about female anatomy and menstruation. It's not funny. You're just filling the room with negativity. Story 12. It's no surprise to me. I am my own worst enemy because every now and then I really hurt myself. Story 13. About 6 weeks ago, my cat urinated on some linoleum. I didn't see it, slipped, and broke my ankle. I still can't move well, and now I am in an air boot after being non-weight-bearing in a cast for 6 weeks. He still meows at me for food, even though others feed him. You have caused this, and now all he does is demand attention. Story 14. My husband's ex is difficult and has caused us a lot of drama over the years. The last I heard, she now has dementia. Story 15. An old coworker grabbed the overhang of my tummy and insinuated I'm always warm just because I said it was cold outside. This was 6 years ago, and I would still burn her house down now if I knew where she lived. Story 16. There is another negative influence inside my mind that takes over when I am tired. I would love to eliminate that influence. Story 17. There's one person I see sometimes, and every time he shaves his head, I pray it's due to chemotherapy or something similar. He is a friend of mine's dad. My friend's parents were together for close to 20 years. My friend's mom got cancer, and his dad left her and him when he was about 14 or 15. He married another woman. After my friend's mom died, he went to live with his grandmother, who passed away a week after he turned 18. She left the apartment to him, but not much else. His dad, at the insistence of his new wife, now meets up with him every few months and pays for some utilities. When those red letters start arriving, he makes the payments. My friend just turned 20 a few months ago. He is working as a delivery driver for a restaurant and is looking for other jobs. But what can he find that pays better when he finished high school only a year ago? I understand that his dad might have left his mom due to disagreements or other underlying issues before the cancer diagnosis. But what could a 14-year-old boy have done for you to decide to abandon him too? Sometimes they come to the bar where I work, and I see him having to prove to his dad that he really needs help. He has to bring the physical copies of letters for his dad to finally say, "All right, fine, I'll do the bare minimum." I seriously hope that man experiences some misfortune. For me, the vision or ideal of a successful man isn't a business mogul. Those are exceptionally successful individuals, 1 in 500 million. A successful man, in my view, is someone who earns enough to live comfortably, takes care of his family, and is loved in return. The definition of a failure as a man is that individual, leaving his dying wife, sick mother-in-law, and his own child for someone much younger. Story 18. The woman who got my mom addicted to hard drugs passed away from liver failure. My mom has been clean for over 15 years and is doing well, and I have forgiven the difficult timeline I experienced because of it. Story 19. Kevin is a difficult friend. He looks down on everyone around him and tries to control situations to ensure everyone does what he wants. You may spend your time protecting Kevin from others who see him for who he truly is, but eventually, he will treat you poorly like everyone else. Story 20. I have at least 5 of them, which I believe is above average. I don't understand why. I feel quite relaxed. Story 21. I just want to say that the world is full of difficult people. There is a difference between that and having enemies. I have no enemies. I am not important enough. Story 22. The ruling class takes everything we create, leaving us with barely enough to survive. Story 23. My brother stole over $10,000 from my mother and lived in her house rent-free until she lost her job. He spoke poorly about me to my children. I helped him make money as a mechanic, but he wouldn't even buy me lunch when I didn't ask for payment. I just wanted to spend time with him, but if I wasn't useful to him, he wouldn't talk to me. He is dead to me and the family. Story 24. The cold my 6-month-old is enduring. I am not religious, nor do I pray, but last night, I whispered, "Please take this away from him," to whatever would listen. Story 25. My girlfriend seems to be unhappy with me, but no matter what I try, she doesn't seem to get happier. Logic suggests that I am the problem, so I guess that must be true. Story 26. Anyone who doesn't leash their dog or keep them back on trails. I don't want your poorly trained dog jumping on me. You are irresponsible and don't deserve to have a dog. Those are my concerns, mainly because I have severe allergies. Story 27. Chickens. I eat them almost every day, even in the mornings, and before they are born, I crack them open. I especially like to cut them up and dip them in breadcrumbs before frying them in hot oil. I feel as though I am at war with them, a battle that I think will never end. Story 28. My mother-in-law has been trying to sabotage my marriage for 6 years because she believes I am not good enough for her son. Last Christmas, she handed me a weight loss pamphlet as a gift. Story 29. A man who will not take responsibility for his actions and instead expresses false remorse about how difficult his life is whenever there is an audience. Story 30. Too many people. I couldn't enter politics because I honestly believe the world would be better without some individuals. I am not fit to lead. Story 31. I am a journalist for a national publication. My local newspaper took our reporting and claimed it as their own. When confronted, the local reporter became defensive. Story 32. My mother refuses to learn about autism and makes me feel bad for it. She is like the human equivalent of a vacuum bag. Story 33. My former coworker and I never got along, which ultimately led to my decision to quit that job. We share some mutual friends, and I can still sense the tension between us. I don't believe things will ever improve. Story 34. My ex-best friend and I were very close, but he was a bit controlling. This controlling behavior slowly worsened. He would tell me what to say to people. I wasn't allowed to say anything friendly or insulting to him when other friends were around. I realized that he manipulated me and others to do what he wanted. It came to a head when I met a very nice woman, and he told me that I could not make any major decisions regarding my relationship with her without consulting him first. When I laughed and told him to leave me alone, he became very annoyed. I thought he was joking, but he wasn't. He had a falling out with a mutual friend and told me I had to stop talking to that person. When I refused, he claimed I betrayed our friendship. The more I acted out of his control, the angrier he became. In our last conversation, he screamed at me to leave after asking me to help him with something, to which I responded, "Yes. What do you need me to do?" I cut contact. He is not my enemy, but apparently I am his. He hates me. He semi-regularly texts me to say he wishes I were dead, that he always thought I was a loser, and that I am stupid and will never be intelligent. He even once accused me of being inappropriate with minors, a claim I found baffling. That was the only time I responded to his angry messages, reminding him that he knows far more about older men with younger women than I do. In any case, he hates me, and I have become indifferent to him. Story 35. None that I know about. But if someone considers me their enemy, that would be quite amusing, to say the least. Story 36. Does time count? There is so much in the world to see, do, and experience, and the clock robs us one tick at a time. Story 37. My enemy is Monday mornings because they arrive uninvited every week, ruin my fun, and show no remorse. Story 38. My mother puts me down. She has done everything from trying to harm me to reporting my child's mother to Child Protective Services twice. She sold me cannabis and then got me fired from my highest paying job by calling and asking them to drug test me. She does not want to see me succeed in life. One time, she showed up at my door with a gun, trying to provoke me. She had her hand on it in her jacket the entire time. Story 39. Misogyny and fascism ruined my life. They robbed me of a brighter future and meaningful happiness, all for the sadistic joy of bullying. Story 40. The one thing we all share is being our own worst enemy. Our thoughts highlight our weaknesses, and it is up to us to overcome them. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.